The third thing that we're going to use is 1 tablespoon of sugar. The one that I'm using over here is the Florida Crystals, which I do enjoy. This brand has also an organic version, but over here I have the natural unprocessed version, which is also really nice to use. And last but not least, we are going to use 2 teaspoons of SAF yeast, or also we can use 1.5 teaspoon of bread machine yeast, which is the one that I'm using over here, which is the Flashman bread machine yeast. You can find it almost on any supermarket. And that's it for the basic ingredient that we're going to use. So right now we're going to go to the bread machine and we're going to add the ingredients to the mix according to the instruction that have to go inside the bread machine. Also, before you start, don't forget to prepare the machine. We're not going to preheat it. We are just going to leave on the settings, so it will be quick to make and we don't have to worry about which one is later. The instructions, you can find that on the box that came with the machine, or you can find them online. Okay, so I already prepared the machine over here. The one that I have in the house is Oster. I found it at Walmart really cheap, and so far it's been a really good addition to my repertoire in my kitchen. So over here in the machine, to make the dog, it's not that difficult to select. You only have to go on the menu. Select the number 9 option, which is the dog one. Let me show it to you. If you select menu select next to the start option, you will go through the menu that is seen over here in the side, which it goes through a list, and every time that you select, you will reach the option that you decide or that is going to help you to prepare what you want, which the bread machine also is explained on a generic basis on the book that you buy, or almost any book of pastry is explained on a really basic level, but it's also really easy to understand. So let's select the number 9 option, which is the one that I want, and we don't need to move anything else. It's already pre-select. We need to open the container. And one thing that you need to know about these machines is that you need to add first any kind of liquid, then you have to add the solids, and last you have to add the yeast. You have to follow that a specific order in order to ensure quality. So let's start by adding 1/3 cups of water, which will be the first thing in our mix. The second thing that we're going to add is 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. The one that I was using before with the carbonel is a really nice one and has a really nice body. So let's going to add the 1/4 through the machine. There we go. And now the next step that we need to do is to add the flour, which we're going to add 1.5 cups of our unbleached whole wheat flour over here from the King Arthur brand. So let's start doing it. It's really easy to make the dough over here, especially if you use the machine. as it will add the mix and will do everything for you. So let's start. So here goes one. Two. Okay. And three over here. Let's wash the measuring cup because we're going to use it again. And the one that we have the oil, at least in my case, because of lack of elements right now. It's going to need soap just to remove any kind of oil that is inside the measuring cup. Now that we've done this part, let's go into add the sugar, which is going to be 1 tablespoon. And again, this is the brand that I'm using, the Florida Crystals. There is also one organic version of this one. So let's add 1 cup to the mix. There we go. And the last thing that we're going to use on the second step before we add the yeast, it is going to be 1.5 teaspoon of salt. The one that I'm using right now is the Kirkland that you can get from Costco, and it's sea salt. I don't really know what is the fuss about sea salt. I know, but I think it's too much of an overrated sauce. I only think that it adds a really nice flavor to any food that you're preparing. And let's finalize by adding 2 teaspoons of the yeast that will add the fluffiness, as I like to say it, to the pizza dough. There we go. So 1.5 teaspoons of this fantastic bread machine yeast. 2. Okay. And that's it for now, adding the ingredients. We don't need to do something else this stage except to start the machine. So the next step that we're going to do is just to prepare to spread the dough, to set the oven, and in the next tutorial we're going to explain how to make homemade pizza, but right now we're going to use a pre-made one that it's quite nice. It's from the Prego brand and you can find it on any supermarket. So let's start the machine. And it's going to take 1.5 hours before you can do something else. So we're going to wait a moment until this process ends, and we're going to come back in a moment. Okay, so we're going to finalize the process of doing the pizza. So the next step is the simplest one, and we're going to assemble the dough to make the actual component. But before we place the pizza in the oven, we need to preheat the oven in 450 degrees to 500 degrees, so it will be on the proper temperature. And when the oven is ready, we can start the process. The first thing that we need to do is to pull outside the dough from the container of the machine, we're going to use a spatula in the process to separate them. But one thing that I need to tell you, because the machine tends to mix itself, there is a little mixer inside that sometimes can go inside the dough, and you have to remove it so it won't get damaged inside the oven. So, okay, the first thing we need to do is to powder the surface. We can use, again, flour. Some people use olive oil, depending what is the case. We only need to do it just a little bit, a small handful. Place it around, and there we go. So it won't get stuck inside the oven. Let's play this back over here. So now we're going to pull out our dough that we made with organic wheat flour. There we go. My friend Elisa, she tends to say every now and then that I'm lazy because I don't do it by my hands, the first part of the process. But as I said, if you need or you have something that can help you, just do it. This is the way that you think is the most appropriate way, but I won't complain. She can bake and cook really well. So okay, let's start flattering the surface of the pizza. It hasn't to be perfect over here. We only need to make it round, and that's it. And it's not going to look exactly like the ones that you see on the restaurants. It's going to be a little bit different. And you know that the dough is on the point because it's going to be, I usually say, like Play-Doh. So let's do it. This is the way that I do it. I put my hand and I start doing this, making circles. I know that some other people, they use a wheel, I don't remember the name in English, to make the surface look better, but I'd rather use my hands in this case. So let's start making it again, so we can have a perfect circle. Okay. I guess this is the fun part of the process. So you see how it turns. It goes a little bit circular when you do that. You need to follow a clockwise pattern and follow the same shape that the surface you're using. In my case, well, we're using a circular one. So let's pull outside all this one and let's make it as perfect as we could. Again, one time I inspired my friend Elisa, and she make a pizza on a cubic surface. It gave me back memories. She reminded me about a pizzeria that was in Colombia called Pizza por Metro, that's translated in English pizza by the meter. Oops. This is the moment that I wish I had more surface, but my apartment is tiny. And they usually make the pizza on a square surface and they sell it by the meter. We don't use in Colombia and many other countries of South America. We don't use the American system of inches. It's not popular down there. It's never been used, and talking about that to somebody that is not familiar with that system, that probably could be problematic. So you see how the pizza tends to go flatter, and like I said before, it's not going to be similar to the one in the restaurants because the texture is different. This is more artisan, homemade, which I think is pretty. It's nice to make this way. enjoyable, and it could be a good activity to do with your children, or if you are in a party or hosting an event and you want the guests to have some fun. You can teach them how to cook a really traditional dish. Okay, see how I'm doing it? There we go. I'm making this flatter. Yeah, like I said before, I feel bad that I don't have too much work surface over here in my apartment. But I'm happy. I have a complete kitchen, and I'm happy to have a really good and spacious freezer. Okay, there we go over here. So this is as far as I can stretch it, and I didn't do too much. I only made a pound of the dough. It's only for me, and it's going to be for me only. If I want to make something larger, I probably will make 2 pounds and I can cover this surface perfectly. But right now I want, one thing that I do to make it look pretty, I like to make the Boston pizza, to roll the corners so I can make a perfect circle, and much like a pie, that probably comes the name in some places pizza pie, because it resembles that. So I do this over here, and now we're going to add the sauce. This is the one that I mentioned previously. It's quite nice. The 3 cheese from Prego, all natural. I like to shake it up so it won't get stale. This is the part that you can add to your own taste. So I'm using this wooden spoon to make the sauce go in the center. I like to add a little bit extra, but that's just me. I always enjoy a really full with sauce pizza. Okay, let's make a small correction over here so it won't get out while we're cooking it. And that's it with the sauce. So when we finish with this one, let's place this on the sink. And let's place this back on the fridge so it won't get spoiled.